The weather forecast with Akendogas.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and glad to have you join me again on the weather forecast. I hope you had a profitable weekend. This evening, light to moderate showers may persist over parts of the center, east, Adamawa, and the north regions. We may get a minimum of 17 degrees in the northwest region, the center, Adamawa, east, and the south regions, expecting temperatures to get as low as 21 degrees. We may also have the littoral and the north regions expecting as low as 24 degrees. Onto the far north this evening, there may be no possibility of precipitation in the entire region, and by morning it would be entirely cloudy in all of the major towns of the far north. Onto the southwest this evening, there may be moderate precipitation dominating the region, and this will progress till morning except for the town of Mamfi. Lastly, we go over to the west, where this evening there may be moderate precipitation dominating the entire region, and this will extend till morning in all the major towns of the west. To protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water, sneeze with a flexed elbow. Any case of symptoms, call 1510. Have a good night.
The fresh chain of palliative measures announced by the government injects a fresh breath into the national economy that was already tottering at the abyss of asphyxiation. The lifting of the ban on bars and leisure sports should not be confused for a victory song over COVID-19 yet, and that continues to be as dangerous and as ravaging as ever. Wear your mask and keep your social distancing, even in bars and off license. 3,000 teachers to be recruited in Cameroon this year by the Ministry of Basic Education to boost the student-teacher ratio in the country's nursery and primary schools. Those are our top stories. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Benn, MENO PUFONG. The palliative measures announced by the government of Cameroon to mitigate the effects of COVID-19 on the nation's economy have been received by businessmen and entrepreneurs with varied reactions. Amongst the measures is the one postponing the deadline for statistical and tax declaration, as well as the suspension of general accounting audits. Entrepreneurs have saluted the move, confessing it will avail them the opportunity to relaunch their activities that were fast going down the drain. Clarissa Ray Takang got their reactions in the following reports.
A breather for businesses, giving dealers time to redefine their economic priorities for 2020. The fifth measure to ease pressure on economic activities, for example, is an opportunity to re-strategize. A number of entrepreneurs confess moratoria and deferrals of payments will provide relief.
Nous faisons dans l'événementiel, c'est-à-dire que nous louons les cabinets.
We do event planning and are involved in different activities. We took a loan at the beginning of the year to boost our activities. Our business stopped because of COVID-19 and we got worried because of the debt. But now with the new measures for the economy, we are relieved. We will be able to organize ourselves with the bank.
Ça nous fait respirer davantage.
Meanwhile, with a deadline to pay land taxes postponed, those concerned by the measure are looking forward to channeling the funds to more essential services until September 30, 2020. For its part, the suspension of general accounting audits for the second quarter of 2020 has also been saluted.
It's absolutely important. It's a good idea because if you don't have incomes, how can you pay loans? So we should think as partners, banks, government and enterprises. We have more motivation to go forward and to see how we can relaunch our activities.
Moreover, entrepreneurs confess they have the opportunity to get back in business, albeit painstakingly.
We know that all these measures are things that can actually incite the business people to have, more capital, to have more profit. We should be able to ensure that these companies that are not getting to pay tax, that the amount that they are making should be able to go back to the economy. They should be able to, put in place measures that would ensure that these companies, for example, pay the small businesses that are doing contracts with them, for example. That way it helps, to redistribute the money.
As efforts to check the spread of COVID-19 intensify nationwide, observers say the desire is to see the economy gradually get back on its feet.
Heads of enterprises in Yaoundé whose activities slumped as a result of the anti-COVID-19 restrictions have been hailing the measures announced by the government to reduce the impact of the restrictive measures on the economy. They are particularly saluting the suspension of a period of 3 months of on-site inspection by the National Social Insurance Fund. Constantine Baum spoke with some of them in relation to the social insurance contribution as well as the cancellation of penalties for late payment of social security contributions, and put together the following report.
The implementation of the COVID-19 response strategy in Cameroon had a devastating effect on the economy. The accompanying measures to be implemented to support the economy, especially enterprises, have been welcomed, with some entrepreneurs saying the support measures come as ventilators needed to ease the difficult moment.
It's a welcome initiative. We are happy that the government actually thought about, reducing the burden on the private enterprises as a result of the economic downturn that we are witnessing because of COVID-19. Honestly, we feel we have to accept and appreciate the initiative. Whether it is negligible or not, as I said, that one is a story for another day, but I think it is something that we have to appreciate.
Some of the small enterprises contribute up to 500,000 francs CFA per month to the National Social Insurance Fund. For 3 months, that will be much money to inject into their businesses. Spreading the payment of their contributions is being welcomed, with the enterprises actually wanting the government to do more.
For me, I have just about 15 permanent workers, which I think would be about close to 600,000-700,000 francs per month, which is not small. That's what I said. Any initiative that the head of state has taken, we cannot say it's negligible, and that's why I'm saying that we are still waiting for the practical modalities, and we're praying that he could do more than that.
The support measures also include the maintenance for the next 3 months, that is from May to July, of the payment of family allowances to staff of companies which are unable to pay social security contributions or which have placed their staff on technical leave because of the economic downturn. It has well increased family allowance from 2,800 to 4,500 CFA francs.
Still in an effort to encourage small businesses and other petty commercial activities, the government measures also include the exemption of tourist tax, parking fees, and market duties allocated to petty traders. Cynthia Saptala has been talking to operators in these sectors on their respective activities with all of these new measures and pieced together the following report.
Government's efforts to support sectors of the economy hit by the pandemic was a move saluted by many. For hotels and catering businesses, the exemption of the tourist tax implies 2-star hotels like this one in the Bastos neighborhood in Yaoundé, where a night range from 45,000 to 50,000 francs plus the 1,000 tourist tax included has been withheld as of March 2020.
In those measures outlined, all that is profitable to our business is the exemption of the tourist tax, which will be applied as from Monday. Clients will no longer pay it.
As concerns parking fees on vehicles used for the urban transportation of persons, notably taxis, motor taxis and buses, the rate fixed in the General Tax Code have been cancelled for the second quarter of the financial year, that is from April to June.
We are grateful for those taxes withheld. We pay 11,250 francs. I had already paid for the next 3 months. I don't know if I will be considered.
For the traders in the Yaoundé 2 Council, the market fee, which differs for regular and occasional traders, have also been suspended.
With this crisis, that all these small activities were crying, the state cannot support all the losses the activities or the enterprise have. The aim for the government to exempt all these taxes for this activity is to bring all this activity to continue to exist.
As economists describe it, it is a boost to help keep these sectors running despite the global economic impact of the pandemic.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take its toll on Cameroonians, there are others who are making some brisk business out of the mishap. IT experts and other dealers in IT gadgets, for instance, are striking great deals in their sectors as the demand for these gadgets and other electronic items, especially in this era of distant learning and e-conferencing, keep rising. As the coronavirus inflicts pain and sorrow on many, it is wearing a broad smile on the faces of others, as Alice May reports.
This is the Avenue Kennedy in Yaoundé, where most dealers in electronic items are found at a time where most economic activities have witnessed a decline due to the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. It was rather a period where electronic dealers made huge profits from the huge demand of electronics.
They need machine laptops and phones to be connected. So all the stuff we had that time got finished because we were asking enough. Even video games for children.
At the Life Simple Data Center specialized in digital marketing at Tinga, the case is not different. They were obliged to satisfy the daily demands of their customers.
It was very fruitful for us because people were quarantined, that is, they stayed at home. It made them to go more into the internet, and then through the internet they were able to get back to us through our communication, digital communication, home delivery, and so it was very easy for us to get to them. We had more calls coming in for us to deliver their goods, for us to deliver their parcels, and then our digital communication has been really boosted due to this coronavirus.
The only difficulty faced by these businessmen is a shortage of stock.
The main difficulty is that we don't have stuff again to sell, and people are still demand. They are coming here every day, we don't have anything to propose, and they cannot command things in the abroad because even the shops in the abroad are locked.
While expecting a return to normalcy in the country, these electronic dealers can be considered amongst those who have benefited from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
COVID-19 patients in Cameroon are not only being taken care of in hospitals and other specialized centers, they are also being followed up at homes in what medics refer to as distant caretaking. All the patients need as they are being followed up is to respect the confinement rules and all the other measures and protocols outlined by the government so as to keep safe. Victor Segal reports on home care mode for COVID-19 patients.
This method of isolation is among several others adopted by the Ministry of Public Health. Patients here, like in other confinement centers, receive the same treatment, though from an outpatient care unit.
In the emergency center, we have a team who is there just to take care of the patient that has been confined at home. This team is divided in two groups. The first one are just there to call the patient every day to take their complaint, first their complaint, and also to ask them if they know their temperature.
The patients are essentially those whose general conditions are not critical.
So the patient who have very mild or minor symptoms, or who would have no symptoms at all, can stay at home, and the other one has sent to the hospital.
In order to keep their neighborhood safe from being contaminated, the people have to comply with the recommendations to limit the spread of the virus.
And for those patients, we ask them to stay alone in a room where they will not be in contact with their family members. They need to wear a mask. They also need to wash their hands frequently.
In case of any risk of contamination, contact with the outside is avoided. In a confinement center or at home, COVID-19 patients are expected to respect the measures set aside to bar the way to the spread of the dreaded pandemic.
The attitude of some Cameroonians following the government's decision to relax some of the anti-COVID-19 restrictions may well compel the government to reconsider the decision. Hardly had the decision been announced when popular drinking spots and other leisure centers were overcrowded by beer-thirsty Cameroonians, most of whom went drinking to stupor, flouting even the basic anti-COVID-19 restrictions like wearing facial masks and observing social distancing. As Moki Edwin Kinzika now reports, most of these Cameroonians are behaving as if the COVID-19 has already been conquered.
This is a practice to totally condemn at this particular moment. COVID-19 prowls around like a starved lion, ready to devour. It suffices for one contaminated person to be in this group, and the results are catastrophic. By easing some of the restrictions put in place to curb COVID-19, like opening up popular sports and leisure facilities after 6 p.m., the government of Cameroon did not issue a license to contaminate or propagate the coronavirus. It simply asked its citizens to tackle the killer virus and economic and social hardships they were caught between with care.
I urge the population to continue to strictly observe the barrier measures and all measures aimed at limiting the spread of the coronavirus in our country, in particular the systematic wearing of protective masks in all areas open to the public and the prohibition of gatherings.
The consequences may be devastating if behavioral patterns of some Cameroonians do not change. Still to be confirmed reports indicate that infections increased by 200 within a day after the measures were eased. As a reminder, go out only when necessary, wear masks, stay away from crowds, keep to social distancing norms, and wash hands regularly.
Okay, thank you, Moki. Let's now take our viewers over to the National Emergency Center, where our reporter is posted to give us updates on what has been happening so far over the past 24 hours. Hello, Gilbert Ongene. Tell us, do Cameroonians have any reason to be optimistic tonight?
Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. I must say that there is no case of recovery from the COVID-19 today, but most importantly, the news that you have to retain here is that there is no death too recorded today. And here we have our guest with us, Dr. Eric Tandy, who is a public health expert, and with him we'll be talking, of course, about the abandonment of the barrier measures by some Cameroonians. Hello, good evening, doctor.
Yeah, good evening, Gilbert.
Thanks for always being there. We want to find out now from you, since the head of state decided that some of the measures that were taken earlier on to, of course, prevent the infection of the COVID-19 should be removed or uplifted, some Cameroonians seem to have misinterpreted or poorly interpreted this action or move, and they are coming back to the old habits, most especially in drinking spots, restaurants, and public vehicles. what consequences can this have on the population?
Thank you, Gilbert. I think there is nowhere that the government has asked people to abandon the use of face masks or without respecting social distancing. Here we refer to physical distancing. I want to say there is a misinterpretation of government measures that were enacted, but I want to tell this is one of the very high risks that the population might be taking for not being behind the mask and for not respecting physical distancing. I think there was a stress that if you have to do this, it should be done with a face mask on and while respecting physical distancing.
Okay, now this attitude from some Cameroonians, it would surely have some consequences on the others, not only on them, they who are misbehaving, but on the general public.
Yeah, let me make it very clear here that we are in phase 2. And phase 2 of the pandemic in Cameroon means that we have community infection. And once we're already in the community, everyone is at risk. And we want to urge each and everyone to continue to respect this barrier measure, especially putting on an appropriate face mask and respecting physical distancing. Because if I will really regret to say this, what we are seeing now within the community, I'm afraid we are running into more risks than solution. So please continue to put on your face masks and respect social distancing.
Now, under such circumstances, how can new infections or contaminations be avoided, Doctor?
Just like we're explaining, we can only avoid this by respecting all the barrier measures. It is not only the use of face masks, but equally practicing other measures, including hand hygiene, basic rules of hygiene, all what was listed and indicted. I think those are the points that are very important to respect at this moment. Please, we have to take this serious more than before and stay behind a face mask and continue respecting other hygiene conditions.
Dr. Eric Tandy, when you look at the attitude of some Cameroonians out there, you have the impression that some of them seem to accord a lot of importance to earning money or making money than to human lives. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I want to, like a medic, I want to say it is very, very disappointing, but there is a problem of choice here. You can't go out to look for 1,000 francs for survival, but be careful. If you are under a respirator, let me tell you, that will not save you. It is better you take care of your life, stay at home, stay behind a face mask, and respect social distancing rather than be in pain, suffering, and of course, I don't want to pronounce what the consequences might be that we all know.
Some people might say that it's easy to say this because our context is different. People don't have the means to stockpile food and other basic necessities which could help them stay at home and make sure that they keep away from infections.
Yeah, I think that is where the government came in to relax some of these conditions because they know we must go into markets, we must go into places, but then by staying behind a face mask, by respecting social distancing, by respecting other rules that have been enacted. I think that is the point here. We shouldn't look just behind about money, but we should think about the health as an individual and those around you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Eric Tandy, public health expert and consultant tonight. That is the situation out here. I must remind you that during the press briefing of Dr. Fani Mahamat a while ago, she insisted on the fact that Cameroonians should remain disciplined at home, they should discipline their kids, and they should discipline themselves and make sure that they respect the barrier measures put in place, notwithstanding the softening and easing of some of these measures so that we can stay safe out there. Thank you very much indeed, and over to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Gilbert Ongene, and the message is clear. Continue wearing your face mask, even if you are in a bar, whether you are on a bus, even if you are in a taxi. Don't forget the barrier measures because COVID-19 is still very much around. Thank you very much for all those updates. And we now continue our newscast, which is coming to you from the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. We take you over to the Adamawa region, where inhabitants of Nyambaka subdivision in that part of the country have received or have expressed gratitude to the head of state after receiving the special anti-COVID package. This was during a ceremony presided at by the governor of the region, as we hear in this report with Ellis Wanjibanmia.
The population of Nyambaka subdivision, situated about 100 kilometers from Ngaoundéré, say they are now well armed to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in the locality. They made the assertion while receiving President Paul Biya's anti-COVID-19 kit from authorities of the region. With the arrival of these presidential kits, we will be able to stand firm and combat this disease. During a ceremony to officially hand over the sanitary kits to the population, religious and traditional authorities promised that everything will be done to ensure that at least everyone benefits from the presidential gift. The governor of the region, on his part, called for a meticulous use of the items.
We do hope that all the measures which are very now today will be well implemented by the population.
Similar exercises to distribute the head of state anti-COVID-19 kits are currently taking place in all subdivisions of the Adamawa with the aim to halt the spread of the coronavirus.
2 ambulances have been offered to the Bemendo Regional Hospital to beef up ongoing efforts in the fight against the COVID-19 in the Northwest region. The keys of the ambulances were handed over to the director of the health facility by Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique in a ceremony to distribute the kits donated by the President of the Republic to check the spread of the virus in the region. Mercy Kusi reports from Bamenda.
There are 2 brand new ambulances destined to fight the coronavirus in the Northwest region.
We need ambulances. Rapid intervention teams that are really headed by the regional delegate need to go to the field, need to go to anywhere in all the 19 health districts in the Northwest region when we have a suspected case.
To complement efforts of the medical personnel in the region, the President's anti-COVID-19 kit comprising disinfectants, face masks, buckets, soap and food items have also been shared to administrative authorities in the region.
By this, we will surely reach a good number of people, and by this, they will know that the administration of this nation has them in mind.
Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique, who coordinated the distribution of these items, have hailed the efforts of everyone to beat the coronavirus and also called on the entire Northwest region to continue respecting the anti-COVID-19 measures.
Everybody should wear his face mask, reduce their movement, go out only when necessary, if not stay at home.
From Bamenda, the President's anti-COVID-19 kit will be distributed to the grassroots populations in all subdivisions of the Northwest.
And in Meme division of the Southwest region, the populations have been exhorted to make judicious use of the package from the head of state to fight against the coronavirus in that locality. The gifts were handed over by the senior divisional officer from Meme, Chamberlain Tuondong. We have details with Elizabeth Song from CRTV Southwest.
The Southwest region had earlier received consignments of the head of state's gifts aimed at accompanying Cameroonians in the fight against the spread of the dreaded COVID-19. These consignments were immediately dispatched to localities within the region. The Kumba subdivision is not left out. The Rapid Intervention Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel Nko Ela, is accompanying the head of state in his efforts by donating kits to prevent the COVID-19 in some 4 villages in Bonge subdivision, notably Nake, Bakoko, Kombone Town, Kombone Mission, and Ekombe Mbonji.
The coronavirus, is a nationwide fight.
led by the government, and it is evident that the military has to join the same fight to come to support the population.
Upon reception of these donations, authorities in charge of the distribution have assured that proper dispositions have been taken to ensure that the donations effectively get to the local populations without discrimination for the effective fight against the COVID-19.
The 33 subdivisions of the East region are now in possession of the gifts of the President of the Republic to keep COVID-19 in check. The distribution exercise was chaired by the Governor of the East region, Gregoire Mvango, in Dumé, exhorting the population to keep safe. Elizabeth Mbombone reports from CRTV East.
It is at the esplanade of the Divisional Office of Baturi that Governor Gregoire Mvango kick-started the regional distribution process of the President Biya's anti-COVID package to the population. Here, just like in the subdivisions of PATYCHOU and Dumé, the people express gratitude to the benefactor.
I want to say thank you to the head of state. We, people of Dumé, saying thank you and thank you.
The gifts of soap, buckets, face masks, disinfectants uniformly shared to the 33 subdivisions of the East region should be channeled to the right quarters. The East regional governor gives firm instructions.
The head of state gift to the population is for the poorest, the beneficiaries. They must use the head of state's gift for the prevention of the contamination against COVID-19.
Barring the way to COVID-19 in the East region that counts 9 positive cases already will certainly be a practical reality, as committees have been created to ensure those in the hinterlands have a fair share.
The coordinator of the UN systems in Cameroon has urged the populations of the Far North region to keep respecting the measures put in place by the government to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Allegra Bayoche made the appeal after a working session with Far North Governor Mijiawa Bakari, during which strategies to check the spread of the virus in the region came under focus. Ayuk John Ashu is in Marwa.
Although the Far North region shares extensive borders with Nigeria, Chad, and the North region where cases of the coronavirus have been confirmed, it so far remains the lone region in the country to be COVID-19 free. The working session between Governor Mijawa Bakari and the coordinator of the UN systems in Cameroon hinged on preventive measures.
I was really happy to hear from the governor how soon he took action. You know, already starting in March, the region started having meetings and starting reaching out to communities with local radios. That is really important.
While lauding the adherence of the population to government response plan against the pandemic, the top UN official expressed the collaboration of our organization with the Cameroon government in the health battle.
And we obviously need to complement that with the care and the equipments that are needed, not only in Marwa, but in all parts of the region. How important it is to ensure that there's still transport. We talked about how the UN can help the region get some of the equipments it needs and make sure that the services are decentralized.
Since the outbreak of the coronavirus, the Far North region has been receiving varied assistance, including sanitary kits from different UN specialized agencies in order to bar the way to the pandemic.
Robert Bapolipo has been installed into his new function as board chairperson of the National Debt Recovery Agency, and he replaces Joseph Owona, who takes over a new function at the Constitutional Council of Cameroon. While installing Robert Bapolipo into his function today, the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, called on him to put his rich experience at the service of the agency he is taking over. Luma Slim Davis reports.
The installation ceremony that officially ushered Robert Bapolipo into office as the board chairperson of the National Debt Recovery Agency was brief and though void of the usual pomp that characterized such ceremonies, it was rich in character and commitment.
I can assure you that this is an opportunity for me to work hard for my nation. And it is a kind of challenge that I will do my best in order to give the opportunity to those who will follow our way of doing things to know that we respect the state, we respect the republic, and also that we can do our best to satisfy the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, not only him, but also the entire nation.
The Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motazé, said the new board chair of the National Debt Recovery Agency comes in at a time when there is high need for a man of his experience. The Finance Minister expressed confidence that the former UPC parliamentarian will be up to the task in his new job.
The Observatory for Social Development, the ODS, a Cameroonian-based non-governmental organization, has counteracted the position of some civil society organizations that have put the official report of the Ngabu killings to question. ODS National Coordinator Lilian Maurice Kulu Ngulu gave the position of his organization in Yaoundé today in a press briefing, during which he congratulated the head of state for making it possible for the situation to be clarified. We have details with Kilian Dandifon.
It was at its Elixono headquarters in Yaoundé that the Observatory for Social Development gathered the national and international media to express its indignation at the contrary position of some NGOs, among them the Human Rights Watch, that have described the inquiry report of Ngabu killings as far from representing the reality. Accompanied by experts in human rights, the national coordinator of ODS enumerated some professional activities of the Cameroonian military, from defending the country against terrorism in the far north through all kinds of cross-border insecurity in other parts of the territory, to the current crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, projecting videos of the uniformed men and women as civilian-friendly defense and security forces. He gave credit to the head of state.
The Observatory would like to congratulate the President of the Republic for the transparency and impartiality that has not only shed light on the Ngabu incident, but has also punished the culprit.
ODS National Coordinator has called on the Minister of Territorial Administration to suspend the activities of NGOs that seek to destabilize Cameroon.
Some 3,000 contract teachers will soon be recruited by the government and the state of Cameroon to increase the pupil-teacher ratio in nursery and primary schools in the country. This was made public in Yaoundé today by the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent-Serge Etundingwa, while chairing over a coordination meeting aimed at validating the list of selected candidates. Romeo Kenya was there and now reports that the minister insisted that the operation will take place in total transparency. Romeo?
12,000 contract teachers to be recruited in Cameroon for the next 4 years. This to boost the pupil-teacher ratio in the nursery and primary schools, currently at 1:51, slightly above UNESCO's recommendations. For a start, 3,000 are given the opportunity.
The Prime Minister, head of government, have to be aware of all what have been done, and he will give his okay. We have to try to work with equity so that all our region, all our councils, all our villages can benefit from the fruit of that recruitment.
Regional balance policy respected, but other additional selection criteria have been considered.
The age of the candidates, which with the World Bank will stand at 40 years old. You know, in our public service is 32. We consider also the certificate, which must be old, because those candidates are now acting like teachers.
And to give weight to the move, government greatly counts on the collaboration of regional delegates and pedagogic inspectors for a smooth process.
The 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV this Monday evening. That's the way it was.